Why am I doing a YouTube channel? I started this channel a little over a year ago, and back then I didn't really have like a big plan or big goals or a big mission there. I'm just doing this because I find it fun, but also because I felt like I wanted to share a bit more all the side projects I work on. Maybe sharing that process would be interesting to others as well. Maybe will motivate someone. And again, I just like the idea of doing a YouTube channel. It's just one of those other projects I want to do. And as this gets a bit harder to manage as well in terms of time and effort, I've been thinking more and more about how I want to do it in the future. I also have other priorities in life, so I want to know how this aligns with that and what is the value that I want to bring from doing this. So if I'm putting this much effort, I want it to have some value to both myself, but maybe hopefully to others. One thing I realized, like looking back at things I've done that I'm really proud of, everything that is hard to do obviously incurs some level of effort and pain. You probably don't notice because you're just having fun or it's your passion or whatever name you want to give to it. To go through a good amount of effort and pain to achieve something, you probably need a strong goal or something you truly believe in, be it because it's just purely an interest or because it's something you find that it is important, even if you actually weren't initially passionate about. What that means is you need conviction. Another reason to have a strong conviction is that sense of meaningfulness and direction helps you cut things that are not important. This is something we all know. If everything is a priority, nothing is a priority. And the reverse is true as well. If nothing's important, you also feel like everything could be a priority. Sometimes work feels like that. One thing I noticed and I always admire in people that write really well and share their thoughts, it's how they create clarity for others and for themselves. When I was younger, reading some of these essays online, for example, Paul Graham's essays on startups, I always assumed the quality of that writing and the clarity of that writing came from the fact that they had already everything very clear in their heads. At the point of writing, obviously they did. At some point it had to be clear, but I think it was the writing process that gave them that clarity. And they didn't write just to share, they also wrote to think and to learn. This is actually something that is usually mentioned and talked about by writers. But it's something that wasn't obvious to me and completely went past. And it's the mix of conviction and clarity that I believe brings the best outcomes. At least allows you to go through effort, pain, and sometimes hard choices to be able to achieve your goals. I started this as a hobby, something I wanted to do because I had that interest, but as the effort has been increasing, I naturally started thinking more and more, why am I doing this? And asking that question. And so I think I've got some answers, but I also want to increase the conviction on those answers. So that's the reason for this video. So why do a YouTube channel? There's a bunch of projects or a type of project that I really feel is very important to work on, for which it would not necessarily be a sustainable business or make sense as a sustainable business, but that I believe could be very interesting to work on and also would be of good interest for people watching. At least some people might find it interesting to watch. I am now currently very interested in both robotics, but also social care and the future of social care. Maybe I'll make another video about that, but considering how the demographics are changing in many countries and what's happening right now, some level of automation there is going to be important. I have my grandma in my mind and I want to help her or people who have the same difficulties. And YouTube is a great engine to do things that would just not make any business sense, a bit outside of what's the normal thing you'd see out there. So it's a good bridge between some types of projects and people who like them. So yeah, or need them. I think it's a noble goal, and if you need to take anything from the video today, maybe it's not so much that you should start your own YouTube channel. Not everyone has to communicate in the same way, but the key point there maybe is to find something that you have a strong conviction in and then find a way to get it done or to do it sustainably. If you like watching someone figuring out this path and struggling a little bit to get everything working together, please subscribe. There's a Discord link if you want to join the conversation or in the comments. I want this to be a communication, two-way communication. So obviously feel free to leave in the comments any of your thoughts. What drove you to do the projects that you are the most proud of in your life? Or maybe what's driving you to do whatever you're doing right now? I would love to learn that. And I'll focus on making this a bit more high value and more entertaining or something. I'll see you soon. Bye.